what really came to me today to share with everyone is something that I share with every class that I teach, that I always bring into my work with my private clients as well. And that is the art of listening, right? We may not think of listening as an art, but there are more ways to listen or not listen than one might have ever realized. So I think this is super valuable in any relationship, certainly in any service-based um, company, business, whether you are a coach, whether you are a healer, whether you are, teaching technology, whatever it is. And certainly, even if you are someone whose business is about a product, you have a hard product, so maybe it's skincare, or something that you have patented, a product that you have created and patented, and it applies there as well, because you're going to find yourself in all sorts of complex negotiations with potential customers, with potential clients, vendors, all of that kind of interaction. And so whether it's in our personal life or in our businesses, we need top-notch listening skills. There are several reasons. One, because obviously we need to be able to really take in what whoever we're speaking with is communicating to us accurately. We need to be capable of being receptive, of really receiving what's coming in. And even beyond that, I'm going to say, while that is extremely important, one of the other crucial reasons that we need to be great listeners is because there is nothing in this world that matters more to most human beings than feeling deeply heard and seen. I'm going to say that again. There is almost nothing. Listening for many of us, for most of us, is one of the key ways that registers as love, that registers as respect, that registers as we matter, right? That we're cared about, that we're important. Those are basic human needs, right? So, I mean, certainly the need for love, I'm sure that that's not news to anybody, but all of those other needs are profound as well. And so studies have shown that more than almost anything else in this world, we all just want that one person, even if it's just one person, who really is able to listen with kindness, with compassion, attentiveness, and care to us as we speak. And that really is can be a life-changing experience. And my personal belief is that if we all had better listening skills and were able to kind of give that gift to each other, that we would actually, it's one of the key ways that we would change the world, that we'd actually be impacting the world. And I believe that these kind of skills, while they may seem simple, and maybe what I'm saying sounds simplistic to you in some way, I believe that they would impact wars, that they would keep us from going to war as much as we do, that they would keep us from, the immense conflict that just peppers our existence everywhere on the globe. Okay, so I'm going to share with you today these 3 levels of listening, and I hope it turns some light bulbs on for you. And please post in the comments if what the content I'm sharing with you here is useful, or if it resonates for you, and where you struggle with listening, and how you feel about all this. So, because here's the other thing before I dive into the 3 levels. Studies have also shown that even those of us who think that we're good listeners, and I'm one of those people that prides myself and always has felt I was a good listener. It seemed to come naturally to me. Sometimes people have to work a little bit harder at it. But even for those of us who pride ourselves on being good listeners and really perceive ourselves that way, studies show that we're only hearing a very small percentage of what is being said to us most of the time. It's quite humbling. It's very, very humbling. So I believe that no matter what kind of listener you feel you are at this moment, my sense is that we could all use some tools to improve our listening skills. So here are the 3 levels I want to share with you today. The first level of listening, and it's hierarchical. So the first level of listening is one that I'm sure most of us are familiar with, where you're listening to somebody else talk, and the entire time, and I'm sure that you maybe relate to being on the receiving end of this as well. The entire time that someone else is speaking, you're formulating your response. You're just formulating, you can't wait for them to stop speaking so that you can say what you want to say, so that you can respond to them, or maybe give a rebuttal, or give your perspective on it, or whatever. And so most people actually hang out in that level one space. That's how most people listen and think that they're being good listeners in that space, right? And so that's a really limited form of listening. We all default to that from time to time, but it's really important awareness that, this is a pretty self-absorbed form of listening. The second level of listening that I want to share with you is the opposite, and it's really no more effective. It's in most relationships. So that is where you are listening and you're not formulating your thoughts or thinking about yourself or anything like that, but you're listening with such a remote disposition, such a remote, with such a remote demeanor and mood, that there is no synergy between you and the other person. You're removed. Maybe like, I know, probably some therapists function this way, but not all. But it's more removed, where you're really not engaging at all. You're really almost observing the other person. And that's a form of listening for sure. You're certainly not interrupting. You're not thinking of your own thoughts and what you're going to respond with, but you're not allowing for a reciprocal kind of a synergistic flow, where what they're saying is touching you while you're listening to them, and the energy of your openness and the fluidity of your openness is also energetically impacting them. That brings us to level 3, which is where I want to encourage everybody to shoot for. And that's the level where I know myself in my coaching practice, this is where I do my best work. This is where the magic happens. And it can happen in a friendship or a partner relationship as well, in this level 3 space. So the level 3 space is where you are listening. You're not interrupting, of course, you're just really listening. But while you're listening and you're really receiving the other person, you're also subtly, not in a way that's distracting you from what the person talking to you is sharing, but you're sort of subtly tuning in and just noticing how what they are sharing is affecting you. How is it affecting you emotionally? What's happening in your body? How, what's the energetic that listening to this particular sharing, or the particular content that the other is sharing with you, how is it affecting your chemistry, you? And so you're not hyper focusing on that, but you're allowing yourself to become aware of it while you're completely focused on receiving what they're saying to you. These two things are happening simultaneously. One is not taking away from the other or distracting from the other. They're happening simultaneously. And what's happening when this occurs is that the speaker feels subtle but profound, experiences a subtle level of engagement and synergy. Again, this energy going between you. This is where the person feels deeply, deeply heard, and where there's a magical alchemy that can occur, that can create a third experience. There's the speaker sharing, there's you, the listener, and then this synergy, this magical invisible synergy going between you when you listen at level 3, where you're noticing how it's impacting you, but you're really present for the other person, creates a magical alchemical third energetic experience that can produce insights for both of you, that can produce new information, new wisdom, new connections for both of you that you may not have made before or anticipated making. And so this becomes a very rich, very meaningful conversation. Now, if you're using this in your service-based profession as a coach or a healer or a profession of that nature, then of course, when you're working with your client, you're not going to take up the space to share your own experience, after you listen to them, you're going to be really focused on supporting them through whatever you're working on. It still does not, but it's still going to be of value and impactful for both of you, medicine for both of you, if you're allowing what they're sharing to impact you in whatever way it does. Again, you may not take up space sharing what that is or exploring that with your client, of course, but noticing that's going to bring you more to life in your interaction with them. Of course, if it's with a friend or a partner, significant other, maybe at some point after they're done sharing, you might share how what they shared impacted you. That's a different kind of dynamic. So I hope that this is useful. You've got the 3 levels. The first, again, is where you're really focused on you and you're not really listening. You're focused on what you're going to say back to them. The second level is where you're so remote that you're really not engaged, even though you are listening. And the third level is where all of your senses are fully engaged. You're receiving what they're saying, you're listening deeply, and you're also noticing how the energy of what they're sharing is impacting you, so that there is some sort of synergistic alchemical magic happening in that interaction, even if it's not spoken. Let me know your thoughts about this. And let me just say, I think that, there are several people with me. And say hi if you are with me, and I'm not, for some reason, able to see comments at this moment. But if you're here, please say hi and let me know how the content that I just shared resonates for you, or if you have questions. Thanks so much for being here with me, and I look forward to crossing paths with you very soon.